Just to fill you in a wee bit of the history of today's meeting, each school has an EF coordinator, and we've been working together to extend curriculum provisions within the ALC. This year the ALC has sort of taken a new dimension in that because of the lack of support coming through from the class, we have established a number of groups where teachers are coming together to share good practice and to try to work on areas for the way forward. Two of the groups that we have established already is a psycho group and a pastoral coordinators group. And really the psycho group was the first group that met within the area, and it's been hosted by Dolores Morgan in Rathore. The comments coming back from psychos from across the schools that have taken part in this group has been just brilliant, where psychos now can come together, share good practice, but identify areas where they can work on for the future. On the basis of that, we've established a pastoral support group, and I know Francis Lloyd from St Louis is going to be taking that group on board. They had their first meeting already with Jeremy Pettigrew in Our Ladies. So Francis has taken on responsibility for chair of that group, and Denise Curry, the vice principal here, is going to be the vice chair. So that group is taking a life for itself. The third group, which we have established now, and it's really down to Tim, is the ICT group. It's really, there's so much good practice happening in the schools at the moment in relation to ICT. We thought it was a really good idea at the ALC level to bring all the schools together to share the good practice of what's happening within schools. Sometimes whenever we get out and talk and we see what's happening elsewhere, we can see good ideas to bring back to our own school. So really on behalf of the ALC, I would like to welcome you all here to St Mary's today. Thank you all for attending. I know this time of the year we're all busy with GCSE and the A-level and coursework and different things like that. So I hope today is really beneficial for you and you're able to share the good practice and maybe identify some areas where you could bring back to your own school. I want to thank Tim for putting today together. Days like this just don't happen. There's a lot of organisation that takes place in bringing things together. And secondly, for the schools that have come forward to present and to share good practice, I want to thank all of them. I think we have a total of, how many presenting? 13%. So many thanks to you. Only for you coming forward we wouldn't be able to have today. So I think we'll just hand over to Tim and he's going far away. So thank you all for coming.
Thanks very much. As you may have heard, I'm Tim Brown and the Entitlement Framework Coordinator for our school, which means that I have the job of being the e-learning coordinator, chair of the e-learning committee is the official title, because I teach IT, which has led to this event for today. And I have thanks very much for everyone who's turned up, and thanks particularly for those who were willing to speak as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to join me this afternoon. My name is Robert Johnson. I'm the head of ICT in Cookstown High School. During this afternoon session, I'm going to introduce two after-school projects that have been going on in our school. The first one looking at the Raspberry Pi computer, and the second one in relation to mobile phone app development. 18 months ago, I ordered and received my first Raspberry Pi computer, a small computer costing approximately £26. The technology, I have to say, sat in my top drawer for the first possibly 3 to 4 months. But then I started experimenting with it. I connected it into my home TV and used it as a media center. It's fantastic, the potential and the power it has. I was actually able to do things that I couldn't do on Apple TV. I was able to set the same little computer up as a wireless print server on a normal printer for my iPad and laptop. A very interesting piece of technology. But there's more to it. This piece of technology does not have to be limited by wires. Using a simple mobile phone charger or a little device that will hold 4 batteries, you can power it by battery. Take it a little bit further. Last summer was the launch of a high-definition webcam for the same device. And that got me thinking. We have taken a Raspberry Pi in school, and I have the little Raspberry Pi computer here. connected onto it with 3 wires, a little PIR sensor. The same sensor that you have for your floodlights around the house. 3 wires connected into pins. I have a memory card connected into it, and connect your webcam. Basically, what we have developed using this at approximately 20 lines of code is a little camera that will capture an image within a single time. But what's the use of this? We are actually hoping to use this as Wild Pi, a Raspberry Pi computer that can be placed outside, attached to a tree, and capture photographs of wildlife. By support of our student technician from the University of Ulster, we hope to actually introduce this within primary schools or local feeder primary schools. And even so far, we have quite a bit of interest with that. The Raspberry Pi computer, we have taken a step further. And you'll see in the background here, a leather balloon. This is a 100 gram leather balloon. And down below it, we have a payload box. In 2 weeks' time, we are planning to launch a weather balloon that is actually 16 times the size of this, 1,600 gram balloon, with a payload, and in that payload, it basically has the same technology. It has a Raspberry Pi computer, a webcam, a memory stick, but we went a little bit further. We've got some help from a local high-altitude balloonist, who is actually, and is also a radio enthusiast, and it will be transmitting an image live to the internet every 10 minutes during that flight. The flight we have set up, the hope is, it will reach about 20 miles high, and it will float without the balloon bursting, and hopefully transmit images from right across Europe, with the aim of getting images of curvature of the Earth during the flight. This project offers fantastic opportunities to join subjects together. And in fact, in Cookstown High School, we've used it to join schools together. The project is a joint project between ourselves and Holy Trinity College. The funding has been attracted from sponsors, including iTeach, Danny, Doc, and the local council, and they have provided the funding for it. The flight, some of the STEM subjects involved in science, from the science of the flight. We have the technology and the use of the Raspberry Pi computer. We have engineering, and we have the students from technology designing our payload container and the mounts required in it. If we want to go a step further and integrate STEAM, we can also art, where the capturing of near-space images will be of use within that. And of course, mathematics. Within the team, and I have 6 people within the team. I have 2 students from GCSE Geography. Their focus has been to work with weather predictions and flight predictions. And there are a number of websites that help us with that, including HabHub. If you wish to follow the flight, I would recommend that you use Twitter, and you can search for #HighPi, and that can be followed on the internet. In 2 weeks' time, we hope to launch that balloon on the Saturday morning. It has been a busy year for the use of technology in Cookstown High School. The second project that I said I would speak about was mobile phone app development. 2 years ago, I went to the University of Ulster and pupils entered a competition using MIT App Inventor. That allows mobile apps to be developed for Android devices. The kids from that project developed a little app called EcoSmart, which promoted recycling in the Cookstown District Council area. And the pupils from that were selected as young innovators to meet Prince Andrew, the opening of an area within the Titanic building. This year we went a step further, and we have developed an app called DavaNav. You may be able to see a little bit of a hole this right. DavaNav is a mobile app that acts as a sat-nav for users of Dava mountain bike trails in Cookstown District Council. Within the app, we have a navigation system, and pupils can actually go in, or the user can go in, and we have maps that can be scrolled, zoomed in and out of, and navigated. There is also a series of tourist information within the app. App development, when we hear the concept, can sound frightening. I would recommend that those who may be interested take a look at a website called AppFurnace. It is an online development platform for mobile apps. I'll say that again, AppFurnace. It has a platform that's very intuitive, and for the navigation screens within it are no more difficult than setting up a PowerPoint presentation. I did mention that this is a sat-nav for those using mountain bikes. How does that operate? Pupils using their mobile phone were able to go and capture GPS coordinates, add them into the mobile app, and the software allows triggering of different media based on your location. That could simply be text, it could be audio, video, or a page could open from the internet. That means that the app that we have developed may only be a start, because within schools you can develop any location-aware software, virtual tours of your local area, local history tours of areas. It's something very, very different. The pupils find it very interesting. This year, the pupils have reached the national finals of Junior Dragons Den with their app, and they have also entered Aircom Junior Spiders. How do I get time? I will do some time. But how do I get the information for the work I do? One of the things I have learned to use over this past year in particular is Twitter. I don't really use Facebook as a social network. I don't chat to people online using Facebook or put photographs of myself up. But you will actually find myself on Twitter. If you wish to search for Go Next Time, you will be able to follow me. I have joined a community of Northern Ireland educators online who meet on a Wednesday afternoon called Northern Ireland Ed Chat, NI Chat. I would highly recommend that if you're on Twitter, you search for that hashtag. And what I have found is, if I want to find the answer to a question, whether it be to do with my teaching classroom, the use of iPads, the use of Raspberry Pi technology, that I can post the question to that group, and someone will find the answer for me. Also, the group I'm speaking to, I realise the format of your afternoon is very like a Teach Me. I have been involved in Teach Me. I hope to attend one in Derry on Friday evening. I hope it will actually be streamed on the internet. But it's a great community of people sharing information about new ideas, both in the use of technology and both new ideas in teaching and learning. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If there's anyone who has questions.
I'm Paddy McElhinney from Our Ladies, and I'm responsible for the development of IT in the school. Two main things, areas that we work on at the moment are VLE, which have been up and running for a few years, and this year the staff have all been supplied with iPads as well. At the minute it's just the staff have got iPads, but we're hoping that within the next couple of months we'll have a batch of 30 iPads that can be used in the classroom as well. We're not asking students to take any iPads at the minute, we're just going to buy a batch that staff can book for a particular class. What I'm showing here is I teach mainly IT, but I have one maths class in the junior school as well. And whenever we first got our iPads at the start of the year, Roisin and Walter Brand and myself went up to the college because they'd been using, I see Kevin there, we've been using them for quite a while. And one of the programs or the apps that I was showing up there was Show Me. And I think it's brilliant for maths, and I've integrated into some of the courses on our VLE. So I'll just show you one example of what we've got here. In J2 Maths, we have various worksheets, etc. But what I have done with my maths class, every time I do a topic, I put revision questions up on the VLE for them. So if I take one of those, for example, you can see at my last attempt I got 10 out of 100 from that. That was good. So the students, when they go on, they can attempt this quiz. So if I go in and I attempt this, it's basically a set of 10 questions relating to a topic which was the equations and expressions that we were doing here. And the students can go through each one of these. This one here is asking them to simplify it and giving them options. They're all multiple choice. Hopefully the students just don't guess them. They work out it first of all and then give the answer. But what I wanted to show you was that if I was to go through this and give answers here, and I'll probably get less than 10 out of 100 this time, but I don't care. If I go through, I'll just go through these questions. If I get to the 10th question, I just finish up here. Okay, and go to next. It tells me the answer that I got. I can then submit those here. But what I then did was, for each of the questions, they can see, the student can see whether they're right or wrong, but underneath it I've given a correct answer in text form, but then I used the Show Me app, and I recorded myself. I don't know if you know Show Me, but Show Me is just like a little interactive whiteboard on your iPad, and you record yourself playing on it. So if I click here,
okay, rearranging the left hand.
That's it there. Shouldn't take as long as that to load up.
-3 equals, on the right hand side, 2y plus 12. To solve this equation, I'm going to take the variable 6 minus 3, the left hand side, be rewritten, and give me in order to the right hand side the equal sign. Equals 2y begin, plus 12. The numbers to the right hand side.
Yeah, there's the other one loaded up.
Where's the phone?
Blame C2K. So that's more or less it. Like, it'll go on there for a minute, but that's more or less what we do. And the students can go on there. They can do the questions. They can see the answer there as I typed it out using feedback, and then they can click and see the video. And I don't know, nobody's ever said it took as long as that to load before. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions? So that is a free app, is it? The Show Me?
It's a free app, yeah, it's very good.
And then if you automatically, is it limited to how much you can store on it? You know, once you start using the app and upload, there's a limit, or?
Well, I have, I don't know, I must have about 20, 30 videos on at the minute. They're all uploaded to the clouds, and I just take the VLE, or then take the URL and put it onto, my link. But it's,
Can you export it as well? Can you export that video somewhere else? Or
sorry?
can you export that video anywhere else?
Yeah.
So you don't have to link it off the web, you can actually.
You can you can email it to students, you can link it, there's a facility to email it to people.
Yeah.
But it's much easier for us to take the URL and just put it onto our VLE. That's it.
Thanks very much.
Right, okay, folks. Tim says we've started this with our kids, and we're currently in a situation where, well, basically, where are we now? How do we get there? And where do we hope to go from here on as such? September 2013, every year 8 student in our school got an iPad, any device, one of these. Okay, with a case like the one I have here, and a range of apps, 5 or 6 apps that we bought in using the Volume Person program and put them on for them. The teachers had the iPads a year in advance. Okay, with now most of the classrooms are Wi-Fi, and we've also allowed our year 13 or 14s to bring their own device, be it a laptop or a tablet of any sort. We didn't get too fussy over those in terms of using iPads. The rationale in every school, you know, the hardware doesn't meet the demand. What's in school is maybe inferior to what kids have at home. Future-proofing people's powering down. I'm going to go, there's a fair few slides here, so I'm going to go through some of these quickly just to get to the crux of it. We want to increase the use of e-learning, engagement of the pupils, have that if they're sitting in a room and can access up-to-date resources from their desk without trying to book into an IT room that only half the computers worked in or somebody else has booked into that. Just to try and move things on a bit, improve their self-management, all this sort of, all the reasons behind moving down this line. There's your typical family setup where everybody's sitting at home on their device. And that is the case, like, to be honest, you know, between phones, iPads and tablets and whatever. On the practical side of things as well, I'm sure you're all the same. In our first years of walking out of school bags, you wouldn't carry yourself. The way to home, we're going to have a bad day with all the books on it, you know. Long-term savings, like investing in hardware, particularly through C2K, is not sustainable. It's too expensive for setting up IT rooms and that. And the fact that before we went down this, we were told that, you know, C2K, all schools are going to become wireless. So we went down this line and that proviso that every classroom would be wireless and the kids would have internet access without sitting at a desktop machine. And obviously the sort of explosion of mobile devices and society's use of mobile technology. The timeline, we started this way back in September 2011, where we basically bought in a few for staff, that is myself and the principal. Bought 2 of them in with a new principal, and he was one of his sort of things that he was into, so I said, do we have to buy 2 of them in and we'll try them? So we had them in for a couple of months, and throughout that year we did a survey of students, of the entire student body. It was actually on the induction days in August where we literally marched these classes in their IT suite, and I had a wee Google Doc questionnaire and sat them down, and so it was a good 600, 700 pupils actually filled it in. And we surveyed parents as well. We created another Google Doc, put a link on the website, and sent them all a group call text. So please go to the website. We're looking into this iPad initiative, blah blah, and give us your feedback on it. So we did a fair bit of surveying on that. We then went and looked at best practice in other schools. We went down to Wallace, myself and Mr. Keane from the Sacred Heart paid a visit to Wallace down in Lisbon there. They had gone down this line a year or 2 previously. We sort of picked their brains over what they had done and what they advised to do and what not to do. It was definitely worthwhile. And then in June, at the end of that year, we basically offered them to all members of staff. We didn't make it compulsory. We said to staff, look, I'm going to provide you with an iPad if you want one. If you take one, you must do certain things. You must use it as part of your teaching and learning. You're not getting a teacher planner, use it as a planner, experiment with it. Just things like that. It was a very softly approach. We didn't say, right, there's an iPad, you must do A, B and C. We give them out and we let people go to their own level, and I'll come back to that. So staff had them basically a year, to the end, June 2012, and we got them at the end of June. So we didn't have time to do any training or anything. We literally got them out of the boxes, tucked them into the room, showed them how to open up, create an iTunes account, and the only thing we did was we got them to sync their C2K email. So there's 5 or 6 of us, sort of ICT group, we've got all staff doing that, and we just let them go home for the summer. And the idea was that they come back and they've gone through it a bit themselves, and they've done a wee bit on themselves, rather than being totally dependent on us to sort of babysit them through it. So staff came back at the end of August, and most of them were using their iPad, even if it's just to browse the internet or send emails, they were using it and getting used to the idea of a tablet and apps and that sort of thing. So we had a real focus on that year on staff development, where we have directed time on a Monday afternoon, and there's a cycle of 4 weeks department pastor, that's why I got ICT built in there. So every couple of weeks we had a Monday afternoon for staff development. And we had a couple of staff days as well where we brought in external people to help do a bit of training. We used that company called iTeach, which we don't pay for. And we also used Danny and Niall in the AMA Centre, who came in and did staff training for free. So if you're looking into that would be the line to go down. So we have a real focus on staff skill acquisition. And I kept on telling staff, folks, next September you're going to be sitting in a class with year 8s and you're going to have an iPad. What are you going to do with it? What can you do with it? How will it make your life easier? How will it make your lessons more engaging? All this sort of thing. And some staff really ran with it, some didn't, but we're still working there. So the year really targeted staff and their development. Towards the end of that year, that academic year in May, we did the entire student survey again, just to confirm that there was a major demand for students. And then in September there, we deployed to year 8s. Okay, and the plan is over the next maybe 6 months to a year, we'll deploy to year 9s and year 10s. So we'll come back to that in a minute. One of the questions we asked parents, would you prefer your son use a portable device instead of or along with textbooks? And there was a 68% sort of response. So 68% of the yes. Okay, so a good positive indicator there. Same question to pupils, you had 84%. Kids were just mad to get them. In fact, our second and third years were all out of school mad. And when are we getting our iPads? When? Because the first years all have them and they're walking about, you know. So it's a big talking point among the students as well. There's concerns, there's no point saying it's all wonderful and it's educationally viable and great, but there are concerns, and we have had sort of issues and problems that we're still sort of coming across. Security of the devices, effective use, the kids use them, does it benefit what they're doing, or do they just sit and play games all day? Value for money, misuse, inappropriate content, is it going to make a difference, or is it just a sort of fad or a wee thing at the minute with the iPads, you know, or we're going to go back to books? So those are sort of the concerns that, and I'm the one sort of driving it out and managing it throughout the school, so it all comes back to me if there are issues, you know, so I will always have these things sort of in the back of my head. That there is probably the main thing to focus on today, if I don't show anything else. If this is to work, there's 2 things must happen. Every student within if it's a class or a year group, every student must have access to one of these. Okay? And your staff must be using them as part of what they're doing. Not all the time, every lesson, every day, but they must be using them in some shape or form. And if either of those 2 things are in place, there's no point. You know, we looked at buying sets in for classes and for departments, but we just thought, you know what, we'll kit out the entire first year group, we'll train up the staff, and we'll so both those things are covered. If you have a class and one, you know, even the finance end of things, we talked about getting the Wallace route was the pupils paid, signed a contract, the parents paid them over for 3 years. We looked at that there. What if a parent doesn't want to buy into it? One fella sitting in a class and 25 others with an iPad this month. What do you do? You're renting them out. So, you know, those are the 2 things. If you're going to go down these lines with your pupils, everybody within a certain group, year group, cohort, whatever it is, must have access to a device in school and at home. And staff need to be using it. And staff is the main, that's the main area for I'm the IT coordinator, so I'm responsible for training of staff and getting this thing done, and some of you are in the same boat here. That's probably the biggest battle, it's not a problem, but it's the area where I'm still trying to work on an awful lot of that, you know. Just generic basics, you know, we use PRSD over the past 4 years. I've been drawing up PRSD targets, thinking, right, how can I get people to use this? What can they do? I get them to even investigate using it. So the first year was everybody had to create 2 resources on their iPad that they could use in their classroom. Okay, just a resource, be it just a PowerPoint or a wee iMovie or a Keynote or whatever it is. Sorry, Keynote or a Pages document. That's what we say to staff. Just create 2 of those in the year that staff had them and pupils didn't. So people were doing that there. We also bought staff sort of one of these as well, just to get off on a tangent here. Staff got an iPad and one of these wee adapters for VGA cable. So we plug it into the board just like I'm doing now. We've said to staff, right, use it as an organiser, we don't buy teacher planners anymore. Okay, and I see somebody on the list there that's going to talk about iDossio, that's one of the things that we're using. And use it as a teaching aid. Staff were given 6 apps, same 6 apps that the students got, and that's what we focus our training on. And I say PRSD is the main, even this year we have PRSD targets that are ICT and iPad relevant, where we've asked every department to make an electronic resource or an electronic book for J1 pupils, for J2 pupils now actually for September, because our J1s are now going into J2, so we want them to have electronic textbooks or electronic resources. So teachers are working on that at the minute. Claire will talk about it thereafter. And then we had subject-specific staff development. When we purchased the iPads up, the company we purchased them from a part of the package was so many staff development hours. So rather than take some guy in to talk to 50 members of staff, he said, right, I want you to work with the languages departments, Irish, Spanish and French. And it was a full day's training we had, so we took them in for 3 half days, if you like. So there were still more roads to go. So I organised with him beforehand to target languages. So he's done 2 sessions with the language teachers there, where we were from. And the line we went down, one of the lines we went was the idea of textbook. I said to the farmers, right, look at what you're currently using, resources textbook-wise. Can you change that to an electronic format? Be it buying in a license for an electronic book, or if you're using handouts and Word documents and PDFs, can you put them all in a package and have them somewhere the kids can put them onto their iPad? And there's been a fair explosion in that there. Sort of running over time a bit here, Tim, so I'll go quick. In terms of the cost, we looked at the Wallace model where the pupils paid, the families paid them off themselves, and some parents expressed a reservation at this, so we said, right, well, this is what do you think about it? Basically, the school bought them in bulk, 130 of them in, paid for them up front. The money came out of the curriculum budget. And we then said to parents, right, we're going to give your son an iPad, 6 apps, a case worth £30 or £40, and 3 years warranty insurance. And we're going to ask you to pay half the prices. We pay half, you pay half. So it was a partnership between the school and the parents. And what I actually did was I drew up a letter and I listed all those things. And then I listed the high street value. So the price they were paying off was actually less than half the price. So they jumped at it. And this was, they were all saying, sure, you could not. Once they had paid off, they had full ownership of it. Until they paid off, the school still owns the device and everything else. Okay? So parents signed a contract, and they weren't asked to pay so much a month. They just said, look, could you pay this off by the end of this academic year? And we have a wee cashless system in the canteen where parents can go in and put money on the student's account remotely. That Ask Quid thing there. There's a feature in that where you can put other bills on it. Just we put a bill on it for the iPad payment. So I think at this stage of the year, maybe 75% of the year group have paid off the full amount that we've asked them to. So it's been relatively successful. It's been complaints. So if you're looking at finance, that is one of the big things. We think how do schools finance them. We've went down the 50-50 route, and it was well received by parents, and has been. Pupil rollout to practical terms, we didn't give them the first day of September, we waited until the 3rd week to get settled in. Our Year 8 form teachers were strategically placed. They're really good IT people, because that's a Year 8 form teacher. And we also, I sat down with a timetable maybe this time last year and said, right, who's teaching J1, Maths, English and RS? We need these teachers in here because they're the ones who are going to drive the iPad initiative. And they're the ones, they're your key subjects you have 5 days a week. So if Maths and English and RS are using these things, that's the back of the broke. They're going to become part and parcel of teaching and learning every day. Okay. There's umpteen different ways of doing this. There's MDMs, there's remote management. We basically took the devices, configure them, put the apps on them, and give them out to kids and say, right, go away, create your own iTunes account. It's yours to manage, yours to look after. I would probably need more time to talk about it. There have been problems with that, no point saying otherwise. But it has worked to a certain extent, I suppose. We did basic training with them. We used the first year form teachers. I basically give them a list of things, right? Show your kids how to do A, B, C, D, E, and F. We have an iPad hospital where our technicians are available morning break and lunchtime for first years to call into them and say, whatever's wrong, we can sort it out. And I sort of classes on my timetable that are protected, where I go into J1 classes once a week and take a bit of training. We also did a parents' evening where we're half through and came in and through some things as well. So, problems. One of the main problems, funny enough, was the casings. At the start, we bought the casings for staff. We bought weren't great, and in the first year, 6 or 7 staff iPads were broken. Since then, we upgraded to the Griffin cases, which is this one here, basically the iPad 2, one of the larger, obviously, and there hasn't been, touch wood, any damage this year at all. So if you're doing this, casings are, I know it's simple, but it's really important to get a good casing with the corners are protected. How do pupils use them? Access resource, organise their work, email. We also preloaded the school calendar onto it, so they can go in and look when their holidays are and all that sort of thing. Just self-organisation, audio, visual, different things like that there. some of the apps and some of the things we're doing, where are we going next? The plan is that, well, this year all year 8s are equipped. The target was that every department has an electronic resource or an electronic textbook, and we're at the point now where some departments actually don't use a physical book anymore. They have the electronic book where they can download it from the VLE, or we had a link in iTunes U to download the book, so the kids maybe have been 7 or 8 books on their iPad. Next year, the hope is that we have years 8, 9 and 10. The plan is in September we're going to repeat with our first years, so that'll be our first and our second years. And the principal's looking into the minute at financing the current second years, so that in September we will hopefully have all of Key Stage 3 with an iPad. But again, it's very dependent on staff weighing in and being prepared for that. And then the following year, obviously, you're going to do GCSE, you're going to be post-16. Excuse me. So that's a quick run through how we did it. Like, cut through a lot of things, and if we're doing it again, I'll probably change certain things. But at the end of the day, the way it stands, all of our first years have an iPad. They're using them in their classes. Not all of our classes, not all of the time, but there's a fair use out there, and it's positive. Again, I surveyed parents, staff, kids just before Christmas, and there are issues, but the vast majority of them are saying, "Yep, this is good. It works. Keep it going." So that's where we are, how we've got there, and hopefully we'll roll on that a wee bit more. So I know that's very quick. There's an awful lot in there, but that's where we are.
There's a couple of schools in the room already using, as Kevin mentioned, Idosio. So what we did is we've got 6 people on the whole school ICT team, and we've been trailing it for about the last 4 months before we roll it out to staff to see what they'd like to think about it. Now, it does a hell of a lot, I'd say that. So I'm only going to just show you what I kind of use it for, but there's certainly many, many more things. So the first thing you need to do is to put your class list in. Again, similar as with your planner, you've got your kids' names, and just on the right hand side here you've got different tabs. Now, I'm just going to show you some of the things that I'm using it for. Your basic things like attendance. So the first thing I'm going to do in a lesson is that's hooked up, it's open, I'll have a quick look, and I move on. It's very, very quick. Take a register, you can do an extra quick attendance, or again, you just attend all. And even if they're not all there, it's just a case of finding the girl who's not there and marking her absent. So it's a very, very quick attendance check. Then, depending on what subject that you teach, I teach business studies, so we've got applied business studies, so I've got coursework and an exam. So it's good for keeping me organised by letting me know who's handed in exactly what they're supposed to have handed in, and then I can use it to link up target grades where they're at. So as a chase for school, it kind of keeps me ready as to which kids I'm hitting and which kids I'm not hitting, so I keep an eye on the corridors as they go past every day. So they don't like to see that on the screen. And again, on a basic level, when I bring a girl in to have a little chat about what she's doing, they can see straight away by looking at the colour of the icon, or the happy face or the unhappy face, whether they're meeting their target grade or not. And again, that's coursework. Depending on what you're doing, it can be just as basic as ticking they've done their homework, or if I've done a little bit of an assessment in a lesson at the start of a lesson, or questions and answers, or a presentation, I'll use it to mark that off. So that, I would say, is the foundation level, the basic level. Once you put your class list in, you're in a position where you can enter your timetable. And this is what I like. One of the strongest things for me is we're on a 2-week cycle here, and it's very, very flexible for you to set up the length of your lessons. And if you can see at the top of the screen there, you've got your dates. You can just put start and end dates. So mine is already set up to go right to the summer. Very, very easy to colour code. So I teach careers and A-level business studies, GCSE business studies. Very simple for me to look at if I've got it open to know what's coming throughout the day, or if I'm planning, for instance, just to have a little look. And again, just a simple touch takes me straight to that class for the attendance when they come through the door. You only do that once, and like I said, your timetable's there. Now I should point out that, kind of similar to what Kevin said, we wanted to break it, if you like. We wanted to find what could go wrong. And I was pretty certain that nothing could go wrong, that I deleted everything by mistake on my class lists, which had taken me pretty much a full day on a free day to enter. But there is, you can back it up. You can back it to Dropbox, or mine is backed to Google Drive. So if I do lose anything, as long as I'm backing it up, I can access it again straight away. And that's happened a couple of times, to be honest. The planner section, on the left-hand side, the planner section is where really it comes into its own for me. So this is my week, or what I've planned my week so far anyway. So it's quite simple. If I'm sitting at home on a night or a weekend, I can write it what I'm going to do. But again, if I go into a particular lesson, it allows me to put notes in, but also to attach my resources. As you can see there, the resources are already open there and uploaded. And again, you can upload it from a folder that you create, an Idokio folder. If you want to do it from home, I do it from home. Just literally put everything in Google Drive, I upload it, and I come in, it's already there in a lesson for me. I just click open. And again, the kids get used to seeing this now in front of the lesson every day, so they know what's coming as well. It's very, very simple to add something in, just your paper clip as usual. And you have a number of ways then that you can do things. So, you know, staff do websites. I'll show you a little thing in a minute that the music teacher has found really, really beneficial. Because the one thing is we've got a nice little mix on the whole school ICT team. So I'm looking at it as a business teacher, so most of my work is coursework and is hand in and hand back. So that's why I need to be organised with dates, etc. But Susan across the hall of music is on a completely different kettle of fish. All of her work is practical. So I'll show you how she uses it in a second. But as you can see, pretty much does everything that you expect it to do. Pictures, you can add your photos, you can use your files or your websites. Or one thing that I'm looking at the moment is recordings. I've seen somebody do this on the internet, to be honest. Just a little podcast if the teacher's not going to be there. If a colleague has access to it, they can literally just play their instructions for the class in front of them, who'll listen, and then off they go. So you don't need to leave work behind or to take work up, to stay behind. Now, there's also one final thing that I'd like to show you. And again, you really could spend an hour talking about this, but I find it very helpful in parents' evenings. Taking it to the hall, I've got everything that I need right in front of me. I don't even have to bring my planner like I say anymore, or even my bag. If I go back to my classes and just say take one of my levels, 13C. So I've got my class list right here. If I just double click on a girl's name, you'll see it along the bottom. Sorry. You've got different sections. Now, if you like, depending on the course, with the Year 14 girls, for instance, this year, some parents have asked for to be contacted via email, so I can take the parents' email and I can send them comments or keep in touch. But also last year I did my coursework through Google Docs, so the handy thing is the girls can submit coursework to me and I can mark it and email it back to them. And this is literally as simple as me tapping on email, if the email address is in there, attaching the file and it goes straight back to them, the amended copy of my annotations. If I'm in a parents' evening and I've prepared something beforehand, okay, again, I just take a couple of lines down so that I know I've got everything that I need. Attendance is very, very helpful. If you're making your point, which can happen to parents, and you may have a planner in front of you, the parents are looking at 25 names, and the kid's trying to say that she is there quite a lot of the time. You can't really dodge a graphic, so if the graphic says they've only been there 35% of the time, I can quickly link back to my electronic attendance and show exactly where she's missed. So it's very, very quick and very, very clean. And again, if you like, you can set it up to have any column that you want in here, but I really, in a parents' evening, only want to tell the parent where the girl should be and where she's at. So again, at the top of the button, the parents like the fact, and they fed back, they like the fact that it's there for them to see. And again, it doesn't like, so this parent's obviously quite happy she's on a B. If it's a D, she's not so happy. And then I mentioned earlier on, Susan across the hall in music, she would use it a little bit differently. She would use it to record the students playing, and she would use that to assess it, or to sit down with the student and watch the work back. Or again, in a parents' evening. So again, there's a little link to video clip, just of a student playing something for a minute, that she then uses to grade. She should watch it, and she will put her comments and the grade into where I've shown you, so that when she sits down with the student, not the parent, she can go across the board, her comments in the annotations, where it's at grade-wise. And if she needs to email out to the student the video, so the student can go home and watch it, take on board the feedback, she just attaches it and sticks it on. Well, that's all I'm going to talk to you about, but there genuinely is a hell of a lot more you could do. But what we're trying to do as a whole school ICT team is trying to get staff to find something that fits what they like. I know what it does for me, Susan knows what it does for her, so we thought we'd do that this year, so that next week when we launch it to staff, I'm not preaching to the rest of the staff about why it's great as a business studies teacher. We're going to be able to point to different people in the room and show different things and show it off a little bit. That's me, unless you've got any questions.
Just in relation to SIMS, is it varying with SIMS and your SIMS attendance? No,
not at the moment.
That's just an individual
yes,
thing,
yes. But we're looking into that. Actually, I had a conversation with him about that. it's not easy, to be totally honest.
But you can actually export from Sims into to save you a bit of time. You know,
Okay.
I'm not sure of the process, but there is a process to get it out and back in again.
And the kind of way we're dealing with that at the minute when we're speaking to the teachers who are using it is we would all record in our planners anyway, regardless of Sims. So they're still just doing it, if you like.
Yes, no.
Sorry, the question?
It is being a recording for a substitute teacher. How do they access your account?
Well, no, that's the thing, you see, it would depend on who the teacher is. So if I was to do, it would need to be someone that you're going to say, here you go. Yeah, but if we're doing something departmentally, which we try and do, it's great because Pauline next door knows exactly what I'm doing. But it wouldn't really, you wouldn't be giving your iPad to somebody saying, here you go. But yeah, sorry, I should have maybe said that. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, I teach art design at St Paul's, and the oldest one in the department, although the only one that's mainly interested in doing things along the ICT path at the moment, because although the others are a bit younger than me, there is that fear when you're older of all the new things. Consider before you start that we're only getting our iPads now. There's only been 17 originally booked to give out, and I don't know when the pupils are getting them. I think there is enough for a class. So most of the stuff that I'm doing now and I want to talk about, this will all be changing when we get the pupils operated with their iPads. So ICT and art design across the school, we use our ICT as part of what we do normally. So from the year 8, they don't see it as IT is separate from art. It's another tool that we can use within art. Then you see where I am anyway, we have a digital studio with 16 Mac computers. So we normally share a two-door computer. So you can see the advantages of the all of iPads that are different. And we start them off just with 2 40-minute classes, the basic stuff switching off and on because they're used to using PCs, not necessarily Macs, saving their work and so on. Photo booth, we always start with something fun and entertaining to get them interested and to keep them interested. It's very similar to most of the photo booths that children would see used downtown to whether their friends to take a photograph from. We link this to our theme on portraiture. You can see me there, for example, but that's what it looks like for those of you that don't know photo booth. And we get the kids just to play with the different effects that are also have great fun in the digital studio, first 2 lessons really. And then they select a particular image in photo booth that they want to bring in to the next IT piece of software, which is Photoshop. So using Photoshop, we really start off normally working on one layer, and they will learn then to import their picture that they want to work on, and I give them an opportunity to experiment with a range of tools. So there, you can see there, that was the original image taken in from photo booth, with sort of yellow background, and then play around and get a different effect here. So they can save that, and then they work on a class with it. Next we program the year 8s go into is Comic Life. Again, filmmaking, it's an introduction to storyboarding, and they take photographs using the actual camera on the computer in front of them. So for anyone who don't know what Comic Life looks like, it's quite a fun and easy to understand piece of software. They just drag from the top right one of the layouts that look like. They have photos taken that are already there available to them, and they bring them in. They can add text there as well, play with the different layouts and little speech bubbles and so on. So again, the kids have fun learning from that. Year 9 Photoshop more advanced. In Year 9, we do poster design. It can be a number of things, different topics, but they'll use multiple layers to create a range of tools, and they build upon their existing knowledge. And then have a wee competition in the library at the end. Oops, I don't want to get on that there, sorry. The Year 9s love this aspect, besides stop motion animation, where we have the camera set on animation platforms. They have their little drawing at the bottom, and they have little fish that they move across the screen. They make a very short film. It takes 2 to 3 periods to do it. They have the opportunity to do voiceover, add their tags and so on. They bring it into GarageBand, where they can use different instruments. I didn't have any with me today, which would have been good, but I thought we didn't have enough time. So then we're into Year 10. We do our ICT accreditation task. In our work with images, level 5s and 6. I give them design brief, it's the school yearbook cover that they're working on, give them a background of the school, give them as much help as possible at the start with a clear image of what they're doing when they go in to use the computers. The design brief to design a book cover for the yearbook, tell them what it must include, and the overall feel and who their target audience is. So again, I give them some web addresses to go to give them a hand to get started with their research. We also do mood boards. They can use that in different ways in our design of some stuff in folder, which Chance will show you. For example, most of your subjects you want them to do a bit of research, see how other people do things so they can compare and move on. So this is just part of it, part of what they're asked to do in the brief, looking at different designs and layouts that are already out there that are existing. Just giving you an example of what I'm asking them to do. I give them the crest, have to incorporate the crest, and then they can use 2 or 3 simple images and rearrange them to whichever effect they want. So it can end up something simple looking like this. Year 10, again, film. Remember, we're building from year 8, so the year 10 film, we're working really on the photographic stills with the research artist, you know, who they were, where they lived, who the contemporaries were, and so on, to choose 3 examples of their work to talk about, and to put a film together where they have their titles at the start, they do a bit of research on the history of the artist, they put the work in, and they put the voiceover to give them an opportunity to speak. So they use iMovie as well with this, so year 10 it's iMovie and stop motion animation really together. And then we have to build up again on using the Photoshop. We have multiple layers now they're working on, different filters and tools to design a careers poster. Again, they're importing images, they use advanced tools for text, merging images and so on. Year 11 and 12, all students are asked to select one image to experiment with as part of their GCSE work. It sort of ticks that box in the spec where they're asked to do as much experimenting in different areas as they can, and IT is one of them. All pupils' final outcomes, where they have a number of images they need to create to put together. We always do that in Photoshop. We photograph all the work, import it in, and we do our composition arrangement on there. It saves a lot of time, and it's easier for them to make decisions. It's a bit more like advanced storyboarding. And it's also possible to use Photoshop as the main medium within which to work for GCSE coursework in art. It doesn't have to be just drawing all the time. This is an example just of a GCSE art student whose work was selected for the True Colours exhibition, where the final outcome, although it was Photoshop inspired, ended up as a painting. But I do have another actual example there I can show you today of another girl's work whose final piece was in Photoshop. So you can see there, this is typical art, GCSE work with different images together. You can see here the introduction, basically down the right hand corner, of a black and white image, which was inspired from looking at the artist's references in the middle. And then again you have here sort of this pop art, and then the pupil becomes more interested in Photoshop and what it can do. So they're researching and developing their ideas and a range of experimentation with tools and filters right through. And this is a final piece before the planning piece where they take an image and then they use all of that knowledge they gained in the preparatory sheets, and they did a canvas, created a canvas there, so that was one piece. Year 13 and 14, it's more IT and art, is more based on the individual needs of the individual pupil and the projects they're working on. So it's more teacher guidance on a one-to-one basis. I have an example there, I'll probably go and get it now for you. But one last thing, if you want, you can take down this YouTube address here, WIKI26101. That is a year 8 animation that a pupil has made. So those pupils who come to us at the moment who have iPads and who are, shall we say, more interested than others, we will give them the time to listen and to speak to them and see if we can help them in any way. And a lot of the young ones now are already flying ahead of us. They're showing me things. But this young year 8 pupil has a fantastic wee animation. And the reason I chose that one to let you perhaps have a look at it if you like, is that there are hundreds and hundreds of little drawings that she's done to put together, like that flick animation. And it's really good. So when you have pupils like that that are that interested, I feel we need to offer again big time to be able to help and encourage them. And I just want to show you this one. And that's me. This was just another thing on the work where the pupils can do mood boards and put on a template, and it's a very easy way for pupils to design the likes of bottles and things they'd be interested in. So there's lots of those, they're all different. It means that each pupil is doing something that will look commercially finished at the end, so they're all happy with the results. Which is a great thing about IT, we look at second class draw. And this is just the students' work from GCSE where this image was done on Photoshop and then just printed out in A3, which is a frame doc, obviously you can push it at home. But the bulk of that work was all done on computers. It's not the typical art approach. That's just one of the benefits of it. Where I've got an iPad now, and I'm dead keen on just noticed in some of the other presentations there are little free apps that do similar things regarding homework and teaching line. What's that one I mentioned to you there?
Explain everything.
Explain everything. It's another good one to do. So that's me, so thanks very much.